In 2004, someone unexpected tipped the Nigerian unit about a strange and dark set of events happening within a remote thick forest in Nigeria. The Nigerian police would answer to this call and proceed to enter into the deep ends of this forest to satisfy their curiosity with what they had heard from this person. Today's story would be about what was found within the forest and which would absolutely horrify them, and the news when it spread shook the whole country. This story is extremely graphic and upsetting, and I really don't intend on censoring any part. As such, viewers and listeners' discretion is highly advised. But before I do get into this true life story, if you're a lover of unusually disturbing, dark, and mysteriously spooky content presented narratively, then you have come to the right channel, and you might consider subscribing, turn on your post notifications so that you would always be on the loop whenever I drop a new story. And with that said, let's get into today's story. The Okija Shrine, also known as the Ogugwapo, is located in Okija, a town in Iyala local government area of Anambra State, which is in eastern Nigeria. Like many communities in Igbo land, which is the land of a certain tribe within Nigeria, the town of Okija harbors many shrines, but the Okija Shrine comprises of 4 main shrines spread across different communities. One of these shrines is located in the center of the community, while the other 3 shrines are located within the thick forest of the town. The names of these shrines are Olase, Ogugwapo, Ogugisiola, and Ogugummile, and together these 4 shrines are referred to as Alosi Okija, which in English translates to Okija deities. These shrines are the deadliest shrines in Nigeria and Africa, arguably, I must say, with Ogugwapo being the darkest and most dreaded of the 4 shrines, and is located on the bank of Olasi River in Obawezike, which is one of the 30 villages in Okija, and lies at the end of the village, such that once one passes the last building in Obawezike from Okija, Ogugwapo is the next structure to be seen, and no one knows what is beyond this particular shrine because people hardly get to the end of this shrine as it was sacred and feared. Extreme religion traditionalists worship the idols, and this is a culture to some of the people who lived around the town and those who believe in its powers, where they are referred to as the gods of the land. In the olden days, the background stories were that people who committed any form of atrocity were left within the shrine when they eventually die. Not just that, people who died from such diseases as smallpox and leprosy were also dumped in the shrine. And this was the reason the shrines were always littered around with skeletons, skulls, and the bones of dead bodies. On the 3rd of August 2004, surprisingly, following the tip-off from a chief priest to a former Inspector General of Police, the late Mr. Tafa Balogun, over the happenings at Okija, the Inspector General would order a former Anambra State Commissioner of Police by the name of Mr. Felix Obudu to investigate the reported incident. The police team, knowing what they would encounter, came prepared with their guns, armors, handcuffs, video cameras, and various other equipment to document what they were about to see. They knew what they might expect, but we are not very ready for the gruesome sights they would see when they arrived within some certain sections of this forest. The teams of policemen led by Felix Obudu, on entering deep into the forest, were met with the most morbid, upsetting, disturbing, and gruesome discoveries. The road which led to this forest was a tiny path with vegetations and grasses growing all over the road, with the exception of the chirping of birds and the sounds of grasses, as these men marched on and navigated their way to the deeper ends of this forest. The forest had a very quiet and strange feel to it. However, they continued to make their way quickly into the forest on foot, and eventually they would stop and slow down their pace. And this was because lying on the forest ground were various decapitated bodies, headless bodies, skulls of various sizes, and human corpses in open caskets, and some littered with no caskets, and laying around all over the bush paths within the forest. On looking for the priest who took care of the shrine, Over 40 native doctors, shrine keepers, and attendants who were seen within the shrine vicinity would be arrested. And on further investigation, a count of the bodies were made, and on counting, around a whopping 83 dead human bodies and various human skulls were discovered. And these were just the one that had been seen, not buried. The police were also able to find about 10 books registered in the Ogugwapo shrine, which contained the names of prominent politicians, businessmen, apprentices, among others, from most parts of the country and beyond, though the identities of some of those whose names were in the register have not been made public till date. One of the chief priests of Ogugwapo, who asked not to be named, accused the media of blowing what happened at the shrine out of proportion. He said, and I quote, "This deity is not associated with killing people, rituals, or any form of death. Instead, the shrine's main objective is to settle differences amicably, and should such move fail to resolve the crisis, the ultimate punishment is meted out." He also said that the shrine seeks to create solutions to problems, especially for people who have been cheated in one way or the other. According to him, even white men visited the shrine to summon their Nigerian business partners who they claimed cheated them in business. After the arrests were made, the suspects were marched to the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, which is in the Abuja prison, for questioning. No more information is known about what happened to the men, or if they were found guilty, or what punishment was given to them, although it was reportedly said that they were released back into the society, where they would eventually go back home, which means their nefarious activities and wicked killings might still be going on till this present day. The leader of the chief priest happened to be a certain man who reportedly owned a lot of material properties, and these properties are valued at a lot of Nigerian millions in naira. Hence, it was suspected that there was a high chance that most of the bodies, especially the decapitated ones, were mostly used for money ritual purposes, which in Nigeria can also be referred to as blood money, or in Igbo language known as ogwego. And this is a practice of using human private parts or some certain other areas of the body, which are offered to the chief priests, and which these priests use as a sacrifice to the deities. In exchange, the person who brings these illegal parts or requirements are given wealth, material possessions, or some sort of dark powers. These chief priests are those who are in charge of keeping the shrines and also worshipping the deities.
The God of Arab money, the God of Arab money, the God of Arab money. I, Emmanuel Ubiri, I, Emmanuel Ubiri, I, Emmanuel Ubiri. I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. Wherever I enter, let money locate me, Emmanuel Ubiri. Wherever I enter, let money locate me, Emmanuel Ubiri. Wherever I enter, let money locate me, Emmanuel Ubiri.
According to a native of Ubahuezike village in Okija, where the shrine is located, it was common to see transportation buses filled with politicians driving into the area at the dead of night to swear oaths to some of these oracles or to seek money, fame, and power. However, these always come with a cost, and a heavy one, such that if not met, leads to grievous consequences. Notable among the clients of this shrine was a certain late chief Victor Okafor, with the alias name Ezego, which in English translation means King of Money, and was said to have a dispute with a supposed member of a House of Representatives. This man would later go on to die in a mysterious ghastly motor accident, which he seemed to know would happen, and which was believed to be a spiritual attack from the gods by most people. Another strange aspect of this tradition was that when a guilty party dies, which usually occurs within a year, they were said to be supposedly killed by the gods, and the chief priest would demand the body of the deceased from the family, where they are kept in the shrine forever. And failure to provide the body would mean the family would face the wrath of this gods, which most of the time was punishable through death. And if the body have been buried, they are exhumed from the grave the same day and carried to be dropped at the shrine. Not just that, the families are also ordered to return millions of naira and other material possessions owned by the victim or deceased, or the wrath of the gods would fall on the family of the deceased if they fail to comply.
That's your boy. That's your boy. Happy. Nigerian brother. Ndebe ya were ego mmụọ. Ah? Wa hapụzie weta ego woje. Date ya. Jezie na agwụrọ mmụọ ọgwụ. Ah? Mmụọ ewure gbuo ya. Debesia ndị nke ọzọ na condition ha nọ. Mana taa mmụọ osisi butere ya ozu ya. Ah? Mana ndị nke ọzọ fọrọ afọ ihe niile ma efi dị na mmụọ ma ihe niile dị na mmụọ na unu mechara ya. Ọfọkwa ego nke ọ fọrọ unu ga-ewetazu na unu aka na-agba mgbe unu ga-eweta ya. N'ụbọchị taa ya nọziba ịchụ aja ka ọ gaziere ụlọ. Mana ndị ọzọ dị ndụ ha were nke amamihe mana na-eji ya ntụ ejekwu mmụọ. Onye na-anara mmadụ ya na ya n'ike ya anaghị abụghị ya nwụọ ya were taa amamihe. Onye unu na ya nọ taa ka a na-akpọ ofo owugwu. Anyị nọ n'ihu ụlọ achị ogwu akpụ wee na-agba na-adụ ụmụ ụwa aka na ntị maka na onye chọrọ ka ndụ ya dị ọnwụ nwoke enyi ya bịa ka ozu ya gara adịghị ntu a ozu nwanne anyị ya na-ebe a dị. Ma ndị na-eje zuo ohi na-emegide ndị mmadụ ma ndị jisi ndị mmadụ ụgwọ adịghị akwụ n'ike ka ha mata amata n'ụbọchị taa. N'ụbọchị taa na-emechi ya anyị si na ngwuru unu ga-ajụ oyi.
Ise.
Ọnwụ ike anyị abatazi na ngwuru unu.
Ise.
Unu ga-aka aka.
Ise.
Kpata ego.
Ise.
Ọmụ nwoke.
Ise.
Ọmụ nwaanyị.
Ise.
Ezinụlọ bụ unu ihe unu ga-eji zụọ ụmụazị ama nke unu.
Ise.
Ụbịamụ mmụọ ụbịamụ mmadụ amadịzi na ahụ unu.
Ise.
Ọnwụ ike mmụọ ọnwụ ike mmadụ. Na taa dịka anyị si eburu ozu onye a wee na-adịbakwa n'ihu mmụọ ka anyị na-asị na aka mmụọ ya apụbụ unu.
Ise.
Ọ ji apụ na eke, ọ ji apụ na oye, ọ ji apụ na afọ, ọ ji apụ na nkwọ. Ọ bụ ka anyị sikwu ka o esi ya na ọfọ ka o bụ oyi.
This archaic and evil practice, although not being practiced by everyone, is still well observed by some dark-minded and twisted individuals who are after a shortcut for success till this day in some certain states or remote locations within Nigeria, even with the arrival of Christianity. This is also a practice within some countries in certain hidden and secret locations within the deep forests of Africa. As some urban legends would have it, during the olden days, the shrine was brought to Okija by a woman married to an Okija man. Cassava farming is one of the most common occupations during those times, and the woman whose name was Ogugwapo was a successful one at that. And in Igbo language, Akpo is an Igbo word which translates to cassava, which is not a surprise as to why that was her name, as it was mainly what her family produced and traded. However, as time went on, somebody or a group of persons would sneak into her farm at night when it was sure that no one was there anymore and begin to uproot and steal her cassava, which this woman has spent enough time, energy, and resources to plant. When she began to notice the disappearance of some of her cassava crops, it made her furious and she cried for help as this would go on more occasions. She then decided to go into her community and ask for help and advice, and these communities would offer to give her spiritual shams to attack the cassava thieves. And at a point, she got to bring in a deity from a neighboring village to her village. This deity would go on to work wonders for her, just like any other shrine at the time, as within a year, those who had stolen from her would die from mysterious and strange illnesses, but would confess of what they had done before they would eventually die. Years would go by and this deity would be used to solve similar cases and to administer justice to the people. And these were the times before Christianity came into this community and into Nigeria as a whole. Naturally, the woman would eventually die from old age, and when she did die, her cassava farmland would be used in her honor. The deity she brought into the farm was kept and preserved there, while the land would be turned into a shrine, which was named after her, hence the name of Ogugwapo Shrine. This had been the shrine that had been operated by various people who were supposedly appointed by the gods or deities up until this day. Also, the practices in this shrine during the olden days were mostly for traditional reasons only, such as serving the needs of people who received unjust treatment, punishment for people who committed inhuman atrocities in the land, or to settle and negotiate debts to people who are being owned. These debts can range from people who felt they were cheated in any business deal or settlement, or when there are cases of land disputes within the party, who felt he or she was the rightful owner of a land, going to the shrine to rightfully claim their property or inheritance. It is also said that the deity never forgives for bad behavior or when someone commits an atrocity. If the shrine kills any person from Okija for bad behavior, he or she will have the privilege to be buried in the grave. But if the shrine kills a non-indigene, his or her remains will be taken to the shrine and deposited there forever. The shrine does not kill an innocent person. The shrine will kill a defaulter and drain the blood so that when the corpse is deposited there, it will never decay. The corpse will remain dried and fresh. In fact, during the earlier days, the main purpose of the shrine was for traditional worship and to act as a place to seek solace and for spiritual justice to be delivered, with no form of monetary or financial attachment or gains, apart from a situation in which someone who have been helped in terms of getting a fair trial or treatment or any other form of spiritual assistance decides to show some form of appreciation, either in form of a gift or in monetary terms. But this was done mostly out of their own free will. Gaining material gifts or money was not the goal of running these shrines during those days. However, things would gradually begin to take a darker turn during the modern age and times, as the shrine began to be run by the younger generations whose main motives were usually for financial gains, and also being patronized by individuals seeking money through unholy ritualistic means and human sacrifices. These were the time when things began to get sinister. At some point, the shrine would begin to be visited by some influential politicians in Nigeria with the drive for power and influence, and for oath-taking, especially by political godfathers to their political office-seeking subordinates, so they can swear allegiance to them should they help them be elected into the office. Another frightening part to this story is that any party or parties who appeared before the deity after they are summoned to settle with someone who presented a case within the shrine are shown the records of what this deity can do. It is believed that they are shown the morbid nature of the dead bodies lying around the forest, whom have allegedly been killed for not cooperating with the agreements with the deities, and this obviously instills fear in such people who would do anything the priest wants or says so as to stay alive, and this fear is said to be an avenue of opportunity for evil-minded and dark individuals who run the shrine and who patronizes it during the modern times so as to exploit people of their hard-earned money, landed properties, or any of their material possessions. There were fights for supremacy between the chief priests of the shrines and youths living within the Umuhu area. The elderly priests allege that the youths have hijacked their shrines and are duping and killing unsuspecting patronizers of these notorious Oguwapo and Ogugisiola shrines by parading themselves as priests. Hence, what happened in this shrine is said not to be just a brutal justice carried out to guilty offenders or criminals, which is mostly a mark or the sole purpose of what the traditional worship or religion stood for, but rather something more evil, morbid, dark, and illegal, such as innocent people being presented and forced to drink out from a poisonous concoction, or spiritually attacked, and this is something which even the gods of the land did forbid. Moreover, after the 2004 raid of this shrine, there has been a negative tag with these shrines, with a decline in its popularity and number of people who come to patronize the shrine and the priests, although there are some people who still believe in it, including some non-indigenous of Okija town, up until this present day. So that will do it, guys. If you do like this channel, please do well to subscribe, as I will be dropping new dark and mysteriously spooky stories that has been encountered or never been heard by most people. Also do turn on your post notifications so that you would always be on the loop whenever a new video like this becomes available. If you want to see more stories like this, you can watch other dark and strange stories which I have on my YouTube channel. Links in the description box. If you have any other true dark story suggestion for me to cover, you can drop it at my email address, which I've also attached in the description box below. And remember, anytime the dislike button steals the like button's Jordan's shoes, kindly give it a stern warning and proceed to hand over the pair of shoes back to the like button. Until next time, that's gonna do it. See ya.